Tennessee drops a thriller in overtime, 44-41 to Georgia. A really tough loss for the Vols tonight, a game that they clearly had well within their reach, had a chance to win at the end of regulation, and instead are left with a brutal overtime loss to the number 6 team in the country. Alongside Patrick Brown, I'm Ryan Callahan with Let's Go Vols 24/7 No-Huddle. Patrick, where do we begin? I mean, so many things that could have gone differently in this game, especially at the end of regulation and overtime. Where did Tennessee lose this game in your mind?
Well, they had chances to land the knockout punch. Josh Heupel was asked about this being sort of a heavyweight fight with a lot of back and forth. Tennessee gets out to a 21-7 lead. Georgia comes all the way back, takes a 27-21 lead. Tennessee comes back and forth. It kind of felt like the Alabama game, honestly,
yeah.
The 2022 Alabama game for a while, just the back and forth and the swings of emotion. But Tennessee has a chance to build on its early lead, and they didn't quite do that. Georgia got back in the game. Credit the Bulldogs there. Tennessee gets a 35-30 lead, gets a turnover. The place is, press box is shaking.
Mm-hmm.
They have a chance to go up 2 scores there with probably 6-7 minutes to go in the game. Then you really kind of put Georgia behind the 8 ball, having to go down and score twice. And then it came down to a 4th and 7 there on the with 2.5 minutes to go, and Gunnar Stockton just makes a great play. And then you have the game won, on the foot of you have the game on the foot of your kicker there, with well within his range at the end of the game, and you don't make the kick. So a lot of places where Tennessee let this one get away. Josh Heupel tried to put a spin on it, like this could be good for us if we use it the right way, but it has to go down as just a huge missed opportunity for Tennessee. We'll have to see how the rest of the season plays out. There's 9 games left in the college football playoff era. You can still probably lose 2 and be okay, but now Tennessee's margin of error goes by the wayside. But more importantly, you had a chance to rubber stamp this great day. This crowd was great. You had game day here. You had a chance to stamp all these recruits here, and you didn't get it done. And so that's what's going to sting, and that'll sting for Josh Heupel. That'll sting for the players, and I'm sure for fans out there, it's going to hurt too.
They waste a great day from Tennessee's passing game. Joey Aguilar did throw 2 interceptions, but well over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns.
I think it was 371.
Yeah, Chris Brazel had a fantastic day, really breakout performance for him. And then some good individual efforts on defense, but just overall it didn't add up to in every area. There were some things they could have done a little bit better that could have helped them win the game, and obviously a lot will go. So many fans, I'm sure, are already breaking down what they could have decided to do differently there in the final seconds of regulation. Should they have been a little more aggressive in trying to maybe get inside the 20, make it a chip shot field goal and not just run out the clock? Should they have tried to run another play after the false start penalty to try to set it up a little bit more down the middle? Josh Heupel obviously addressed a little bit of that in the post-game press conference. What would you make of all that?
Yeah, he said that they were trying to not center the ball, but I think get it on that upright.
Mm-hmm.
On the play that there was the false start. I think that was pretty clear because Joey Aguilar took the snap, took a couple steps to his right, then fell down, running forward, trying not to give up more yardage. After the penalty, still with 7 seconds left, they didn't want to give up any more yardage, so they decided to kick it there. And with Max Gilbert, credit him coming back and making the kick in overtime.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he, more than anyone else, will be beating himself up for that, so he doesn't need anybody else give him a hard time about it. But again, there were other times, and Josh Heupel said this after the game, that he told his team that it's a series kind of one-play what-ifs.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly that's the one that's going to get a lot of attention, probably on our highlight shows. But there were a lot of things up to that point that could have done differently. I mean, could Tennessee have done some different things there? Yes, but your kicker's been pretty good, and sometimes you just got to trust your guys to go get it done, and they just didn't get it done.
And you certainly feel bad for Max Gilbert there individually. So much is on these kickers when they're in those situations trying to win a game, and like you said, he came back and drilled that one in overtime. But hopefully, fans on social media hear so many bad stories about players reaching.
He said he'd do it last year after
Yeah.
he missed 3 against Kentucky.
Right,
So.
about fans reaching out to kickers. Hopefully none of that happens in the aftermath of this one, but obviously a tough night for him. And then, it's sort of a tough night for Tennessee's defense in some areas too, that, giving up the 21-yard run to start overtime that kind of put them on their heels to begin with. Just their run defense didn't seem quite at the same level. Obviously, they had some injuries at defensive tackle. Jackson Moy out. They had some really good moments, had some good pressure and things like that on Gunnar Stockton, but just overall defense not quite as sharp as what we've seen at times in the past, but obviously against a good opponent too.
Yeah, Georgia had, coming out of halftime, had a 14-play touchdown drive where they ran it 13 times. I think that was really where you felt you didn't have guys like Moy and David Hobbs. But to their credit, the run defense came back and did really well in the first and second down plays in the next 2 series to keep kind of Tennessee in the game. They got a punt, and then they came up with a stop in a short yardage situation or sudden change situation after a turnover. So Those guys battled back. It was just a back and forth
Yeah.
game. Both teams really sort of had to pick themselves up from when it looked like it was going against them, and so that's what made this such a fun game to watch. It's probably not fun for a lot of Tennessee fans. They're not going to want to remember this one or think about this one again.
Yeah, as you said, with 370 whatever passing yards for Joey Aguilar, Tennessee's offense still went quiet for most of a quarter and a half or so before they finally got up off the mat and really started moving the ball again in the second half. And so yeah, plenty of things for both of these teams, for that matter, to point to and get better from. It is just the third game of the season, a long way to go, and certainly Tennessee. This was not a game people had penciled in as a win going into the season.
And, that doesn't make it
that
any
doesn't
easier.
make it doesn't make it any better. But just all that to say, that there's still a lot ahead of them, and if you take care of business against a Florida team that's probably going to have a lot of losses by then, or even go to Alabama and get a win, you still got a very, very manageable path to the college football playoff. So got to take care of a lot of business between now and then, but a lot still in front of Tennessee, and plenty of positive things to build on, but obviously tougher to look at that in the aftermath of a tough loss for Tennessee. So plenty of coverage already up on GoVols247.com, plenty more on the way tonight and throughout the weekend. Lots to talk about coming out of this one. A disappointing, really heartbreaking loss for Tennessee, 44-41 here at Neyland Stadium. For Patrick Brown, I'm Ryan Callahan.